You're learning a sign language. Absolutely fantastic. Now, how do you get the most out of your learning experience? My name is Vic. I'm deaf. I talk about sign languages in this series of videos. I'm also a language teacher and polyglot. I have quite a bit of experience in learning languages and helping other people learn languages, and I'm hoping to share some of that with you. When you're learning a second, third, or fourth language, it's important to remember that you need to practice your active and passive skills, or your productive and receptive skills. Receptive skills tend to be the easier ones to practice. If you're learning a spoken language, that's when you're reading or listening to things and trying to understand them. If you're learning a sign language, you're watching people sign and trying to understand what they're saying. Active skills, productive skills are the ones where you actually produce new sentences, whether by in a spoken language speaking and writing or in a signed language signing. When you go through the school system learning a second language, the focus tends to be on teaching you the passive and active skills that you'll need to pass an exam. And sometimes this stymies people when they come to their adult life and they decide to learn a second language for the purposes of travel or fluency, because they still focus on those kind of school methods, which aren't necessarily the best at producing fluency or getting the most out of a language course. What I want to talk about today is the things you can do to get the most out of your sign language class. My first tip is around production or active practice. When you are learning a sign language, you will have some chances in class to produce, and there will be some opportunity for feedback within that. If you only practice actively when you're in class, that's very restrictive. You might be in class once a week, maybe twice a week. That's not going to be enough for you to actually master those signs and gain any kind of fluency, because you need a lot more regular practice to kind of lock in the muscle memory. In particular, with a signed language, you are looking at developing muscle memory in a way that sometimes can feel very different to the spoken language learning you may have done in a school system. So, how can you get some active practice? Now, a lot of people make the assumption, oh, well, I'll need to meet with someone who's a fluent signer and practice with them, or I'll need to find another student and practice with them. And that's a good idea. I'm not saying anything against that. If you have that open to you, fantastic. But if you don't, then you should consider videos and the mirror. So making videos and signing in front of the mirror, both of these have the big advantage of you being able to see yourself signing and being able to see yourself moving and getting used to what that looks like. And maybe also then being able to notice, oh, I make that movement very slowly or very small or a little bit stiffly. Maybe I could try making that bigger. I'm always doing my movements in this space, but I should be doing them in this space. Maybe I should like look at that. And so whether it's the mirror or a video, that direct feedback of seeing yourself and being able to think about what that looks like in the next class or the next time you see someone signing, it can give you valuable information. It also gives you a record that you can watch back. So you can make a video and then you can watch the video. But hi, I know, yes, hi. She wants to join it. She likes sign language. Yes, you do. Those are my hearing aids. Please don't do that. Um, so the advantage, you have that ability to watch it back. And you can watch it back multiple times. You can also re-record and compare. Just record it on your phone or on your computer and and just have these examples. You can start off with the niceties that you're learning in class, but then as you gain more vocabulary, incorporate more vocabulary. You can give yourself a topic and try and sign on it for a minute or 2 minutes or three. You could give yourself a pretend conversation where you're going to be this person and this person, and you're going to sign back and forth to yourself. So there's lots of ways you can kind of enhance those videos. It may feel strange at first. Not everyone likes looking at themselves or recording themselves, but it's hugely advantageous in terms of building muscle memory, but also building confidence. My second tip, and this goes for every language learning experience, make meaningful sentences. So when you're trying to learn a language, if you make sentences that are nonsensical or not really sentences you could ever imagine yourself using, you're a lot less likely to remember them. There is this belief that if the sentence makes you laugh, you'll remember it to some extent, but it's not necessarily borne out in my experience as a language teacher and the experience of other language teachers I know. When you make meaningful sentences, sentences that are true, sentences that you could picture yourself using, you're more likely to connect with those sentences and to sort of internalize the vocabulary, case of sign language, the hand shapes, movements, locations that are associated with those sentences. When you're starting out during your first course, you're going to be gaining vocabulary, but maybe they're not the phrases that you personally need. Um, and while a teacher or tutor will often give you some opportunity in the moment in class, like we're doing jobs. So, what's your job? What's your job? What's your job? And now everyone gets the vocabulary to say what their job is. Great. But sometimes you won't in the moment realize, oh, but I really want to be able to say this. I really want to be able to communicate this. And when you go away and you're making meaningful sentences and seeing, do you have the vocabulary for them? You'll also identify what you don't know and what you really want to be able to say and what you really want to be able to communicate. Identifying the words you don't know also allows you then to do some research. There are plenty of apps and websites where you can look up signs in various sign languages around the world. There's lots of great ones for British Sign Language, French Sign Language, German Sign Language, American Sign Language. There are also apps in Ireland. We have one, it's called CrowdSign. It is a video library of Irish Sign Language. The creator is a coda, a child of a deaf adult. Contributions come from deaf people, people who are learning sign language, and from codas, and it forms this incredible repository of knowledge. So if you have the CrowdSign app and you've identified a sign you don't know, go to the app or go to your picture dictionary, as I mentioned last time, and look up what you need. Add it to your lexicon of signs, add it to your next production video that you make. And in this way, you will find yourself increasing your vocabulary in quite a natural way because you're you're adding the signs you need. The next tip that I have is mirroring. So, if you're watching something on television with a sign language interpreter on screen, mirror some of the signs they're making when they make them. Just as you're sitting watching, just mirror along, try and see how it feels. Can you produce the same sign? Can you echo that movement? You can mirror, of course, your teacher. You'll be mirroring in class, but you can mirror things from the video dictionary or video app or Instagram or TikTok video that you're watching with sign language. And even if you're just mirroring a few signs out of 30 that you see, you mirror three, you're still practicing and building up that muscle memory. These are a little bit more complicated because they might make you feel a little nervous, but don't be nervous. One of them is let go of perfection. We always make mistakes when we're learning languages. We always make mistakes when we're learning anything. But if you are only going to produce the sign when you're absolutely sure you have it perfect, one, you probably won't produce even half the number of signs that you're capable of producing because you'll be too nervous that you've got the movement slightly wrong or you've got the location slightly wrong. Two, no one's going to be able to correct you or help you if they don't see you produce signs that you're not getting perfect. So if you're only producing your best signs, then they'll think, "Oh, great, you've got it. You don't need my help." And three, it will stop you from actually taking the leap into a sentence where you don't know all the signs, but you could fingerspell the words you don't know. Um, Fingerspelling words you don't know while you're learning is a perfectly valid thing to do. It's entirely acceptable, and there's no reason not to do it. There's no reason not to um, attempt to fingerspell or letting go of that idea that I can only show things in class if they're perfect, or I can only video things if I know for sure what I'm doing, or that kind of thing. It's a block in your way of learning. And my final tip, which is also a little bit tricky, is to start to identify the ways that the sign language is different from the spoken language that you know. Now, I've mentioned before that sign languages and spoken languages are different, even if they come from the same country. Start trying to capture the things that make that language different. The difference in the way you would structure a statement or a question in the sign language versus in the spoken language. This is important for any language learning process. I encourage people to do it as early as possible because the earlier you dive into understanding the difference, the sooner you're going to be able to make these leaps of learning or where you let go of kind of a more restrictive, almost word for wordness. So if we look at the countries where English is the official or most common language, and we look at those sign languages, which are not mutually intelligible, but they do have some common features. One of them is that these sign languages tend not to use as many pronouns. That's the personal pronouns like I, me, you, he, him, she, her. They tend not to use as many pronouns as the spoken language. For example, in Irish Sign Language, it's quite rare to use he, she, her. They often don't differentiate between the nominative I, you, he, she, and the accusative me, you, him, her. So even if you're using the pronoun, you will use the same sign for I and me. So there's fewer pronouns, but also they're not used as often. So there can be sentences without pronouns, which can feel very strange to a native speaker of English. Another difference comes around, hi, what do you need? Hi. Another difference that comes in is around the use of time and tense. Again, using English as the example, whereas in English you might have, I win, I won, I have won, I will win, I'm going to win, and you have these different forms. The verb form doesn't tend to change, the Irish Sign Language, British Sign Language, and so on. So you will indicate yesterday I win, tomorrow I win, today I win, and then it's the time which you put at the beginning of the sentence that gives the verb its tense, rather than having to learn multiple forms of the verb. Another difference is, whereas in English, the word when can be used in a statement. When I arrive, we will talk. Or in a question, when are you arriving? And it's the same word in spoken English. It's a different sign. So noting down those differences can really help you as you start to move towards fluency. Those are some things to help you out in making the most out of your sign language class. To recap, active practice, make some little videos, make meaningful sentences, things that mean something to you that are going to stick in your mind. Identify the words you don't know, and then use things like your picture dictionary or online resources or the apps like the CrowdSign app to fill in those gaps in your knowledge. Try to mirror what you see, copy some signs that you're seeing on television or in videos, just a few of them. Again, building up that muscle memory. Let go of perfection and start noticing what's different. Honestly, all of those can apply to any spoken language you're learning as well as to a sign language. If you would like to support what I'm doing, you can find me on Patreon right here. Anything you can spare would greatly help in improving the quality and frequency of these videos. If you want to know more about me, you can also visit my blog. If you're joining the Patreon, all of those posts are also available up on Patreon if you prefer to have things all in one place. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and let me know what else you would like to know about learning sign languages. Bye for now.